Good afternoon. Welcome to the Indie Boomer Show. I'm Mary Pat McKee. I publish a magazine called Indie Boomer, a 50-plus lifestyle magazine. I am sitting here today with Marty Woods from Zounds of Fishers, and he is going to talk about hearing aids and that type of thing. But before we get started, we always want to thank Logan Street Signs and Banners for the opportunity to have this show. Well, actually, the Wofford Theater and Movies in the Park and all the different things that Jim Wofford does. And with that being said, we're going to talk to Marty. And Marty, tell us, your location is in Fishers.
Yes, we're at 11852 Allisonville Road in Fishers, just north of 116th Street, and open for a year and a half now, and many happy customers.
That's great. Tell us, I know, but not everybody else knows, how Zounds is different from some of the other hearing aid companies that are around.
Well, Zounds has a unique story in that Sam Thomason, the gentleman who started Zounds, did this for very personal reasons. His young daughter, at the age of roughly 2, had a severe hearing loss as a result of a virus, and he spent tens of thousands of dollars on her in her early childhood years, trying one hearing aid after another. And obviously there were challenges with the fact that she was a child and the fact that there were many hearing aid products out there, and given the severity of her loss, nothing seemed to work very well.
Right.
Sam was an engineer, and he was an engineer in an acoustic arena. He designed and built speakers. He was in telecommunications. He did a number of things. And he just said at one point, out of frustration, hey, I think I can build a better mousetrap.
Right.
And so he designed a hearing aid product from the ground up, including the rechargeable battery. As a child, she was constantly changing her batteries. She was active. She was in places where, she didn't have batteries with her, and all of a sudden she'd lose power, couldn't hear.
Right.
And so he, that was one of the challenges that he said, look, hearing aid wearers should be able to put on the hearing aids and go all day long and not be halfway through a business meeting or something else and have their power go out and not be able to hear.
Right.
They depend on their hearing device. So, she was other things. She was always fumbling with them. Many of the hearing aids on the marketplace have dials for volume, have little toggle switches to change settings.
Those, yeah.
And every time somebody reaches up and touches them, they know they're wearing them. They can knock them off. There are no dials or switches on ours. They actually come with a remote control that you can pull out of your pocket, make a quick adjustment for your comfort.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
And you're on your way.
Okay.
And so you put them on in the morning, you take them off at night, you drop them in the charger, and they'll run all day and perform great.
Well, one of the things in particular, because I'm in charge of my father's hearing aids, and one thing that he always complains about is the background noise. If we go out to a restaurant, tell us about your feature on that.
That's a huge issue with almost anybody with a mild to severe hearing loss. Noise in general is very hard to separate. A hearing aid helps do that, a properly designed hearing aid.
Right.
Our hearing aids reduce background noise by over 90%. And when I say that, they have multi-directional speakers on them, so they focus in that environment. They automatically recognize that I've got a lot of noise around me going on.
They adjust accordingly.
They make an adjustment, and we further have a comfort setting on our remote control, like for a restaurant, as you're talking about, a large public venue, where you sit at the table. We instruct people to sit with the larger crowd noise behind them, because those backward-facing speakers will shut down, and then the front-facing speakers listen for the voices at the table, and they recognize those as voices and something that should be picked up.
Right.
And so you can very comfortably hear people at your table, the waiter come up and announce the menu items, but everything else you don't need to hear. So it shuts those things down and emphasizes what the hearing aid wearer needs to hear.
Right, which is exactly what, I know that's got to be one of the biggest complaints. What, you have a couple different kinds? Because like you're wearing them right now and I can't even see them.
Right. We have essentially one style of aid. We're coming out with some new products that have not been announced yet. Those will happen after the first of the year. But within that style of hearing aid, which is a behind-the-ear type device,
Right.
we have several different models, and it really depends upon the severity of your hearing loss as well as your lifestyle. And I want to really take a minute to emphasize lifestyle, because the more active you are, the more active you want to remain.
Right.
And
As you should.
As you should.
Yeah.
And hearing is not as much about the ears as many people think. The ear conveys the sound, but it's conveying it to the brain.
Right.
And your activity is all about your brain activity. You learned to speak because you could hear.
Right.
And when your brain stops hearing, your speech can get more garbled. You become less connected with things around you. You become less attentive. You have a 300% higher risk of falling because of that level of attention that starts to fall off.
Does that because it messes with your balance?
In some cases, it can mess with your balance.
Okay.
A hearing disease, a problem with your ears can mess with your balance.
Right.
But it's also because your brain's just not functioning at its peak. Your brain, studies show that your brain will actually start to atrophy as your severity of hearing loss continues to increase over time. And it's just like a person, I like to tell a story and equate it to a person that had eyesight at one point and has gone blind. You hear stories all the time about their other senses are heightened. Well, the brain is a very smart thing, and it starts to switch off of the senses that it doesn't need and go to the other areas that are feeding it input.
Right.
It's your computer in your body.
Yeah.
So when it stops hearing, that input is lost. The speech center is located in that same area, so your speech starts to be impacted.
Right.
People start, because of that whole sensation, they start to disconnect from society. You see people withdraw. It can lead to things like dementia or symptoms that are very much like dementia,
Yes.
depression, anxiety. And at the same time, it's not that it's going to increase your eyesight, but the brain doesn't need that speech and hearing center anymore. It's not getting that input.
Right.
So
right.
it starts to affect other areas of the body. And it's very fascinating how many physical conditions can become further impacted just because of hearing loss. I mean,
Right.
heart disease, kidney disease,
Well, and
diabetes, a lot of
I
things.
want to talk about some of those. This is a good segue into the fact that Patty Spittler is on our cover for the September issue, and she has total loss of hearing in one ear and about 40% in the other ear, and she has Mears disease, and so that kind of fits into what you're talking about. We're going to take a break. When we come back, let's talk some more about hearing loss and what people should do, and just good information to get out there for.
Very good.
So we'll be right back. Thank you.
Everyone knows it's easy to find first-run movies in the big theaters. But where can you go to watch your favorite classic movies on the big screen for the perfect night out? Why rent a flick when you can rent the entire theater? Call today to reserve our 32-seat theater for your next event, or just stop by to see what's showing this weekend. The 14 by 7 foot screen and the high quality digital surround sound system offers all the amenities you would expect from the big theaters, with a laid back atmosphere and comfortable seating of your own home. Wofford Theater at 1744 South 10th Street in Noblesville gives you the classic movies you want with a big theater experience. Everyone knows.
You know, when Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage. Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore. You know, when Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage. Logan Street Signs and Banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
It is infamous, that's for sure. All right, welcome back. Mary Pat McKee again, back with the Indie Boomer Show, sitting here with Marty Woods from Zounds of Fishers. We were talking, well, just so you know, we were talking about Patty Spidler, who's going to be on our September issue cover and is due out this week, will be out by the end of the week. The July issue was the Wright Brothers. Hopefully, y'all got to pick a copy of that up. Libraries, different places. They were direct mailed out a lot in Hamilton County as well. But Marty, in this issue, because Marty writes for us every time in our issues, and in the July issue, I'm so confused because I just did September, we're talking July, and now I'm working on November. So, but anyway, in July, you were talking about how hearing loss is no laughing matter. Can you kind of give us an idea of what you were talking about in that article?
Sure. You know, we really take our hearing for granted. The good Lord gave us 5 senses, and probably most people would recognize that their eyesight is extremely important.
Sure.
You go to the doctor periodically to get your eyes checked. Many people have glasses, contacts, and watch that regularly. And then, you know, obviously other senses, if we touch something and it's hot, we pull back. If we smell something that we don't like, we leave the room. If we
taste something
that we
Yeah.
don't like. Obviously, food is extremely important.
Yeah.
But our hearing is something that is probably our second most important sense, and yet we do nothing for it.
Right.
You go to the doctor, and other than the doctor normally looking for in your ears and asking you if you've had any problems, they're looking for something physically wrong. And hearing loss is something that it other than a health-related issue, it occurs with everybody, and it occurs at varying levels, but it's a cumulative exposure to noise over time.
Okay.
So in the past, it's been seen or felt to be an old person's disease. Well, it has nothing to do with age. It's just that people have had a longer exposure to noise as they age.
Right.
That's actually dramatically changing today. And because,
and let me guess, why is it changing?
well, it's changing because of some very high quality sound that we
Yes.
haven't had in the past, in the way of stereo, iPods, phones, all being put and placed right at
Next
your
year.
ear.
Right.
And one of the growing populations for hearing loss is 18 to 35-year-olds.
I believe it.
And we've all had experience with things being too loud. We've all gone to concerts, but many of the concerts we went to, I tell people I remember as a college student going to concerts, and I still could talk to people next to me. I'd have to yell. But I've been to concerts recently, and you can yell as loud as you want, and the person next to you
They
can't
just see
hear
your
you.
mouth moving.
And the quality of the sound is so much better, and it's just so much louder.
Right.
So we try to get everybody tested. We suggest that everybody over the age of 25 get their hearing tested.
Well, and it's a free test, right?
It's a free test at any
Okay.
location that sells hearing aids.
Okay.
And you can also go to your doctor, and the doctor will send you to an audiologist or an ENT, and you can get a test done that way too. There's a
Okay.
cost involved generally with that route.
Okay.
Some insurance, picks it up, some does not. So, it's something to check into. But it takes about an hour, and if your hearing's good, come back every 4 or 5 years at that point, and check it again.
Okay.
Get a baseline, understand your hearing, because
Yeah.
it's just as valuable, if not more so, than many of your other senses, and it can lead to so many other health-related issues. So that's where the article "No Laughing Matter." It's extremely important, and I got into this business as a result of my own hearing loss. I spent almost 40 years in engineering and construction, managing projects all over the country, and my other lifestyle issues. I ride motorcycles. I woodwork. I'm around a lot of things that are loud.
Yeah.
And yet, and I don't have a loss. Many people misunderstand their loss as well, because it's not like you lose all of your hearing. That can happen.
Right. It could be just a
But it's
gradual.
generally in certain frequencies. In my particular case,
Oh, that's a good point.
I never noticed my loss because many men speak from,
Stomach?
their stomach, and they project at a deeper frequency and pitch. So I have never had a problem, and I was in a fairly male-dominated industry, and I never had had problem hearing men. But in the last 10, 15 years, there's been more women that have entered that industry. And I started to notice, I thought it was first just my wife, the selective hearing thing. Turned out it was most women. I
Right.
couldn't hear women. So when I got my hearing tested finally,
Because they have a lighter pitch? Is that
a higher frequency.
higher frequency?
Higher frequency.
Okay.
And when I got my hearing tested, my loss was in a mid-range area where most female or many female voices are projected.
Did you consider that a blessing, or?
I considered it a blessing since my wife was told that it wasn't me against her.
Oh, well, that
it was
probably
me
made
against
her feel
it was
better.
me against
Yeah.
all women. I just I had a loss where that was, and TV and things like that. I turned the TV up. So what was nice is that my hearing aids bring that area where my
That
loss
part,
is back up, and that's where my help is. That's where the hearing aid occurs.
Okay.
It doesn't help me in my other areas where I didn't need that assistance.
Right.
And so you want a hearing aid product that is digital and programmable for that loss. Because if you have a hearing loss and you get a hearing aid that amplifies or just makes everything louder, and there are many products out there
That do that, yeah.
it literally drives people nuts when they, because
And
it's
it's not
trying to
helping
make it doesn't help them. And so now my wife asks me to turn the TV up, which is very gratifying.
Yeah, and you checked her, right? Well, the other thing too, and you and I have talked about this, is that you start to lose words.
That's right.
There's certain words you don't hear, and then your brain doesn't know that word, almost like a foreign language.
You lose words, you lose sounds. We've had customers come in, and this is a testament to the fidelity of our aids too, and the quality of our aids. But we've had people come in who've been wearing hearing aids for 15, 20 years, and yet they haven't been the quality, so the sounds have still been lost. And
Right.
we've had them come in and say, I was taking my car in because I put your aids on. I'm hearing sounds that I have not heard in ages, and I thought my car was acting up. And it turned out to be something as simple as their turn signal. Their mind had forgotten what their turn signal sounded
wow.
like.
Yeah.
And then finally it clicked again once they started hearing it. But even with other aids, they weren't able to hear that.
Well, another thing too, I think like you said, people associate hearing aids with older people, and I think that's a real bad stigma. Because you're losing some quality of your life if you like you said, if you're just need some help. It's not that you
Right.
can't hear.
And when I made this association with the brain forgetting things that it's not hearing,
Yes.
that was extremely important to me. I'm not quite in that age bracket yet
Right.
of what the stereotype is.
None
that
of
you
us
referred
baby
to.
boomers are, but
That's
that
right.
doesn't mean
But
we don't have.
We're
some kind of
coming,
loss.
and I thought, I don't want to do that to my brain. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to start forgetting things now. I want to be able to hear everything,
Right.
and that's what my aids allow me to do.
Well, and I think that's what one of the messages today with this segment that we've been doing on the hearing aids is that if you're a baby boomer, just go get checked. Just go find out what's going on. You could avoid a lot of things that could be coming down the road,
Right.
especially the disease thing. The old Alzheimer's thing just scares me to death because I've seen what it can do to somebody, and it's not pretty. And if hearing can affect that, which it can, And that's just one.
Yeah,
You know,
and health in general. I mean, given the state of our medical system these days, the cost of medical care, anything you can avoid
Right.
is worth a free test.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, exactly.
There's no argument there.
Yeah.
So,
Well, baby boomers are proactive, or I like to think that most of us are, and I think this is a good way that they can be.
That's right.
Proactive. Hey, I'm sorry, this time goes so fast. We're going to have to wrap it up. We will be back again, and appreciate you all watching, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
get your hearing tested.
And get your hearing tested. Free hearing test.